I think I'm on. Am I on, guys? I've been having some major technical difficulties, so hopefully you guys can see me. Hi, guys. Oh my goodness. This was crazy. Oh my gosh. I never thought it would be so crazy. Okay, so I can see you guys. Yay! All right, guys. Hi. Okay, that's probably you guys. um, seeing me. All right. Whew, y'all don't understand. Thank you to my biz besties. Oh my God, and Curate Connections. Thank you guys. Anyway, hey, this is Tani Chambers, and welcome to my channel. Today just me, myself, and I. Along with you guys, I'm doing a live so I can answer all your questions about all the opportunities with the stimulus packages, that's plural, that have been passed down since March when this illness took hold of us. So, and you guys can hear me fine, right? Uh-oh. Awesome. I'm going to turn this off so that I don't hear. All right, great. So, there has been, I'm going to go live on Instagram just for a second, just so people know that I'm on. All right, so there has been a lot of changes. So welcome everybody. Let me say hello to everyone. So I see the commercializer. I see You Are Tech in the house. I see Everyday BK. Hey, Edwin. Hey, Edwin. Carolyn. And then I just saw Slauson Ventures LLC came up. Hey, everyone. Hey, Tiffany. Thanks, guys, for being here. Let me just go live on this really quickly. Whew, wait a minute. Let me tell y'all, this tech life sometimes. Okay. This tech life sometimes, let me tell you, it's like, high check, low tech. But really, for my founders and my entrepreneurs out there, oh, hey, Melissa, that's you. For my entrepreneurs and founders out there, man, I'm telling you, sometimes, these things are hard. Like, make it easier for your end users. Make it easier for your end users. Hey, Instagram, I am on YouTube Live right now answering your questions, all your questions about the stimulus packages. There has been a whole heap of changes in the last 2 weeks, guys. There's been a lot of changes, and I want to answer your questions, and I want to make sure that you guys go and get the money that you need, our money repackaged to us, right? The money that you need so that you can keep, sustain your business, so that you can stay in business, okay? And then once we get over this hump right now, then we can actually continue to grow and expand our business. If you saw my video earlier, I did a video earlier and I said that, first of all, this last 2 weeks has been tremendously difficult. I really don't have a word to describe how difficult it has been for our community, and that everyone plays a role in what we need to do to make sure that we get justice. And a part of the word justice in our community, a part of that is economic justice. Economic justice is a big part of it, right? But one of the things I don't want us to lose sight of is continuing to build our business. As entrepreneurs, we need to build our businesses. we need to have successful and highly profitable businesses. That is a form of protest. We need to definitely understand that, and we definitely need to keep building. A lot of us, we needed to take time because, again, a lot going on. And as entrepreneurs, you already have a lot that you have to deal with mentally and emotionally building a business. But in our community and at this time, even, it's been even, it's even worse. It's just been more. It's been a lot. So take a break, but don't give up. Take a break. I know no one expected the illness, the pandemic to, just happen, which is okay, but in times like this will not be the last time that we will be tested in such a great way that we have to figure out, should I be pivoting? What kind of changes do I need to make in my business so that I can actually keep my business in business? So I've had a couple of lives, and you guys know I've had videos on Instagram. Right now, I'm on live on my Instagram, people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link in here, Instagram, because I'm going to get over here to my YouTube live, people, and I won't get cut off because I want to answer everyone's questions. So right now, if you have a minute, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, just take a minute to invite some people to come over to YouTube. And it's YouTube/Tani Chambers. The link is actually in my bio on Instagram. Take a minute to invite some people and get answers that they need. There are a lot of people who are totally still at this time, totally confused about PPP, the EIDL, the EIDL loan, unemployment. Some people need unemployment. A lot of sole proprietors and self-employed people, freelancers need that information. They need unemployment. They need this help. So invite some people, come on over to YouTube, and I will do my best. I'm going to stay on Instagram just a little bit longer, but I'm going to talk over here. So you guys just, there you go. Let me move you guys back a little bit so that you could see me. All right. So Q&A. Before we get into like all the Q&A, first of all, drop your questions on YouTube. I'm going to be answering YouTube questions right now first. Sorry, guys. But drop your questions in the chat, YouTube, okay, so that I can answer them. But first, I want to give you some quick updates on what's been happening, right? First, if you don't know already, the EIDL loan has reopened for applications. So, has opened for applications, okay? So, here's the situation. When the first stimulus package, the CARES Act and CARES Act 2, there's been so many acts since then, first dropped, one of the loan programs was the EIDL, or the EIDL, I call it EIDL, whatever, right? Which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Now, that came in, that was dropped. A lot of people applied, and then they shut down the portal. No more applications. Stop. They were like, hey, we've got enough applications, so we're going to just stop this for now. So then after they did that, they reopened it, but they reopened it only for agricultural businesses. So if you don't have a farm, you're not growing stuff, you're not in agriculture, you're not in ag tech, then you couldn't apply. Well, yesterday, after last week's hearing, I don't know how many people watched the hearing, but sidebar, like, you need to watch these hearings and see what's going on, okay? Like, everybody needs to be political because this is our life, but you need to watch the hearings and see what your representatives who are on those teams are saying to the people who are on these committees, who are running this, how they're holding them accountable. Make sure they're holding them accountable. So last week's hearing had Secretary Mnuchin, whatever his name is, and Administrator, I always jack up her name, forgive me guys, Arenza, something like that. But she's the head of the SBA. And so our representatives were asking them questions, communicating our issues to them. So one of the main questions was, why is the EIDL program closed to regular everyday entrepreneurs right now, and why haven't they been processed? And basically, two of the senators that were really there really put her on the spot. They said, listen, we approved this law. We passed this law. We said, give these people the money so that they can sustain their business, and you're holding up the funds. You're holding up the money. Not cool. So, yes, watch the hearings, y'all. So now we knew after that, after, the fire got lit under them, that the portal would open, and so said, so done. The portal opened on Monday, yesterday, so it's open. People can go back in and actually apply for that, right? So that's a great thing, right? So if you didn't apply before, and if you were on the fence or you have some apprehensions, I'm going to answer those questions today. You definitely want to go in and apply. So just for you guys who don't remember what the EIDL loan was, you can get up to, I don't even want to say how much you can get, because that's a whole nother thing that came up in the hearing about how much money was supposed to be distributed, and the SBA put a cap on it. But anyway, you can apply, and you're supposed to be able to get up to $2 million, and the payment terms are over 30 years at a 3.75% interest rate. That's it. This is the loan that was attached to the infamous grant, $10,000 grant, that also got changed midway to $1,000 per employee. She was also asked about that. Never really got an answer. Never really got an answer about that. But anyway, that application is open. So now the one thing I want to stress to you guys is that there's still money left in the budget. There's still money left that has been allocated to these relief options, to these relief options, to these relief solutions for small businesses. There's still money left. And so there is still money left and still opportunity left for the EIDL loan. Now I just want to quickly talk about the PPP loan. Often these two are confused, but they are two different programs. Now, the PPP loan, which is the Paycheck Protection Program loan, was the loan that is forgivable. The EIDL loan is not forgivable. You know the payment terms. Whatever they approve you for, they'll probably give you terms over 30 years. They've been giving everyone terms over 30 years. And if you are a for-profit business, 3.75%. If you're a nonprofit, 2.75%. So now the PPP loan was created directly for people who have employees, to keep people in business. Let me just give y'all the real. Like, they did the PPP because it's better for them to give us money to keep our people employed and keep our business going than for them to pay a whole bunch of unemployment, even though they did that anyway, and they kind of screwed up on that. But we'll talk about that in a second. All right. Hi everybody. So if you're just getting on, I'm Tani Chambers. I'm the founder of Savvy Money. We help entrepreneurs, self-employed, and small businesses maximize their tax savings and organize their money. So everything that's happening right now is very important to those people that we help. I'm also a financial educator, serial entrepreneur, and investor. So all these things are important. I want you guys to do well. So let's go back to the PPP loan. So now the PPP loan came out to rave reviews, but it when it first dropped, it dropped to small businesses. They were allowed to apply, and then they opened it a week later on the 10th to sole proprietors and self-employed. Just a little over 2 weeks after they opened the program, they ran out of money. They ran out of money and had to shut it down. So Congress went back to the drawing board and added another $320 billion to the budget and opened the program up again. But one of the issues with the program with everyone was like, hey, I have to spend, if you give me this money, I have to spend 75% of that money on payroll. And that was an issue for some businesses, for a lot of small businesses, because they were like, hey, we have other things that we need to pay for besides payroll. On top of that, the unemployment program was making it so that your employees were better off staying home than coming back to work for you. So you had to deal with that too. Like, employees like, nah, I'm not coming back. I can stay home and I'm making double than what I would if I came back to work for you, right? So a lot of those problems. So, yes. So the PPP loan, right? So the premise of the PPP loan was that they would give you 2.5 times your payroll. They wanted you to use that money to keep your employees employed. And if you spent 75% of that on payroll, and then you can spend another 25% on qualified expenses, which were 4 qualified expenses: mortgage, interest, rent, utilities, and maybe something else, maybe not, maybe just payroll. I can't remember right now off the top of my head. A lot of info in here and a lot of changes, like every day changes. So that was a big issue for people, because people were like, listen, I have other things that I have to spend. Like, okay, I can keep my employees on payroll, but I can't buy inventory. I can't pay for other things that I need to do in my business because it's not allowed under the terms. So what happened was they went back to the drawing board, and recently, about a week ago, it's not even 10 days, I don't think, they passed what we call the PPPFA, which is the Payment Protection Program Flexibility Act. And in that act, what they did was they reduced the amount that is required. They reduced the amount from 75% to 60%. Instead of 75% on payroll, it's been reduced now to 60%. That's one. 2, the other 40% can be used on those qualified expenses, right? And 3, let's say you can't get your employees to go back to work because they screwed up with the unemployment situation, right? Let's say you can't get your employees to come back to work. They've made it so that they won't penalize you for that. If you show that you've made a good faith effort to get your employees back, then what they said that they'll do is basically that you can still get 100% forgiven, okay? 100% forgiven on the PPP loan. Who's eligible for the PPP loan? Self-employed, sole proprietors, and small businesses, right? Small businesses as described under the NAIC Act, Standard Act, which means just under 500 employees, period, right? That's the easiest way to put it, under 500 employees. So that's where we're at. Unemployment, a lot of problems with unemployment. Some people are still waiting to get their money for unemployment right now, but it's all good. It took a lot of time. This is unprecedented times, and it's slowly but surely working. So listen, guys, I need to know what your questions are, right? What are your questions? Pop your questions in the comments so that I can answer your questions and we could get this all worked out, because at the end of the day, there's still a lot of money. Now, here's another thing about the PPP program. At first, remember, there was some scandal, like all these large companies have found loopholes and were, applying for the loan and getting tens of millions of dollars, right? Well, when they came back to the table with the second round of funding, what they did was they said, hey, these have to go to CDFIs, which are smaller lending institutions, because we believe that they're going to get to smaller businesses. And that was great. People took advantage of that. They got, they went and got some more PPP. They got PPP money. They applied. But there's still over $120 billion left for PPP. And here's the first thing I want to answer, because some questions came in. People were like, is it too late for me to apply? No, I actually have a video on my YouTube channel that dropped yesterday or Sunday where I break down that no, it's not too late to apply, and all the things that you need to know about the new things and why you probably should apply. It's not too late to apply. There's over $120 billion left. As a matter of fact, as of June 6th, there was $147.7 billion. Then when they asked to drop the Flexibility Act with all these with all these new things that makes it easier for you to get the PPP and get the PPP 100% forgiven. With these things, they had a little skyrocketing. People came in and applied, and it dropped about, 20-30 billion dollars. But here's a caveat that you need to understand about the PPP loan. You have until June 30th to apply and be approved. So that's now today, that's exactly 2 weeks from today. That's exactly 2 weeks for you to apply and get approved for the PPP loan. Okay? But now you have more time, because before, with the PPP loan, you had 8 weeks. Once they deposit that money in your account, you had 8 weeks to spend that, and you had to spend most of it on payroll. Well, now they've extended it under the PPP Flexibility Act. They've extended it from 8 weeks to 24 weeks, which is great. It gives you more time, gives you some time to get your stuff together and make a plan and a strategy to pay your employees or pay yourself, and to do that over a good amount of time, okay? So besides dropping the requirement from 75% to 60%, they've also extended the time from 8 weeks to 24 weeks. So from 2 months to 6 months, great. So the first thing I want to say is that you have to apply by June 30th. So you need to make sure that you put your applications in by June 30th. Now, I have basically applied and got approved for pretty much everything. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that, and I learned this the hard way, right? That I got my stuff together. I got my paperwork together. I got my things together, and those things help tremendously. I have at the tip of my fingers, I have, everything easily accessible. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people were denied, or they weren't able to get approved, or they got, flustered or a little bit nervous to apply when these programs initially came out, because they were like, oh, I need all this, I need these documents, I need all this stuff, and I don't have it. Now, you don't really need a lot of documents for any of these programs. For most of them, you just need very easily accessible documents. For example, for the PPP, if you are self-employed or a sole proprietor, you need your Schedule C and your bank statement, and of course your ID. Then you need some basic business information. If you have a trade name, or you have an EIN number, or your social security number, your address, simple things that you need, depending on who you go through. I went through Bluevine. I have a video coming out on that tomorrow on YouTube, but I went through Bluevine because, one, I'm pro fintech, I'm pro tech. I'm a fintech founder, but not even that. Technology just makes our life easier, and these companies are doing that. They're leveraging technology to streamline processes. And we know how banks are. Like, a lot of banks and older lending institutions have a lot of red tape and bureaucracy, and a lot of people involved. A lot of people involved with things, so they can't easily streamline things. Where when you have fintechs like Bluevine, like PayPal, like Cabbage, etc., like what's another one? Square. There's quite a few of them out there who were approved by the SBA to actually process these loans. They're able to streamline these things relatively easy, guys. So once you have your paperwork together and you're just like uploading it to these fintechs, they're able to send it to the SBA, and the SBA is able to automatically auto-review them, and that means you can get auto-approved. I was literally approved in 15 minutes for my PPP. I was approved in 15 minutes and funds deposited in my account in less than 24 hours, guys. Scout's honor. Simple, because I had the paperwork. I had all the paperwork that I needed, and easy to go. So I want you guys to take, even if you have to take a day to get everything together, take a day to if your stuff is not together, get your stuff together and then be ready to apply. Okay. So questions. Okay. I have one question so far from Everyday VK. She says, are we getting a second stimulus check or not? We don't know. There's a lot of people talking about it, but we actually don't know. There has been no legislation passed. When you watch the hearing, Secretary Mnuchin sounds very much like, I'm here to help you guys. I want to help you guys. I'm here for you guys. Anything you need. But behind closed doors, you hear a lot of difficulty. So to answer your question, are we getting a second check? No clue. The correct answer is we don't know. In my opinion, I think that there will be a second stimulus check. I don't know if it'll be $2,000 a month, $2,400 a month, it'll be just $1,000, or if it'll be another $1,200. We don't know. That's being negotiated. There have been a lot of proposals that have been put forth about stimulus checks. But they have to go through the process. This is where our social studies and government classes come into play, right? There's a process, so they have to go through different places to get approved. So we don't know, but they're talking about it, and I believe that we will get another stimulus check. I think they're looking at, the rumors are, these are all rumors, right? The rumors are that it's probably going to come sometime this summer, like late July, early August or something like that. And it will just probably be another one-time check. Okay, guys? So that's another thing, all right? Here's another question. If someone gets denied from PPP, can they reapply? So if you are denied from PPP, you can actually, yes, you can reapply. Now, it depends on the reasons why they denied you, but it's technically up to the banks to approve you, or the lending institution to approve you. They are given guidelines by the SBA. It is 100% backed by the SBA. There is no credit check for the PPP loan, but they do require you to prove, that you have some type of payroll, that you're paying people or something of that sort. So so if one bank says, hey, we can't extend the PPP loan to you, you are more than welcome to go try another bank. But I can't, you have to give me some more information, but I'm really trying to understand how. I haven't really heard of anyone saying they got completely denied for PPP. The only way I could see that they got denied from PPP is if last year or in the last 12 months before the disaster, so before January 31st, they didn't make any type of money. So that means if you are self-employed or a sole proprietor, that line 31, which shows your net profits, if that net profits is zero or negative, so zero or less, then yeah, they're probably going to say, well, you didn't make any money based on last year, so no. They probably wouldn't. You're probably better off applying for unemployment in a situation like that only. So if you get denied or someone's not answering you, like I've heard a lot of things, like people are saying they're still waiting for answers from banks, from different places, you can go apply someplace else and get approved. So when you apply, your potential loan gets assigned an SBA number. So once that is approved, you're in the system, you would get denied anywhere else. So, but if you have more details about getting denied, I'd be more than glad to answer it. Any other questions? Anybody else have any other questions? I think there were some questions in my group today, curated connections, but I can't remember what they are. Does anybody know what they are? I can't remember. All right. let me think of some questions that people have been asking me. So since they reopened EIDL, my phone has been blowing up, inbox, emails. I mean, it's been crazy, right? DM. So here's some of the questions that I got. I think, let me give you a lot of misconceptions. So I know I've had people that I've spoke to someone today, as a matter of fact, and they literally just realized that they're a sole proprietor. They didn't think that they were sole proprietor because they had another business. They had an LLC and an S corp. But that's not the case. I think when we're thinking about businesses, something that we need to understand is like, if I own 5 businesses, it's equivalent to me saying like I have 5 children, if that makes sense, right? Each of them are individuals, right? They probably each all have their own social security or EIN number. They have their own names, etc. They may reside at the same address, but they're all each individual people, right? So this person didn't realize that okay, I will not answer. Sorry. This person didn't realize that basically that they, as a sole proprietor, because let's say they also did gig work. So they drove Uber, right? But they also had a S corporation. They had a corporation for another business that that generates revenue and etc. So I explained to them that both businesses could apply. The person, themselves as the Uber driver, let's say the gig person who's working the gig, they can apply as a self-employed or a sole proprietor, and their S corporation can also apply because they're 2 different entities. So I think a common misconception around people are saying, I don't have a business, not realizing that one of the things about the Stimulus Act that they took into consideration was self-employed sole proprietor people. So the gig economy is huge now. And so there are a lot of people in that space and who qualify under that. They are businesses. The IRS looks at you as a business. So yes, you can apply as a sole proprietor and your business is separate. You don't have to choose. They're 2 different entities. They 2 different people doing their own thing, making their own money, spending their own money, own expenses, etc. So that's one thing I wanted to address about that. And so you can apply for both. They are 2 separate entities, and so you want to remember that. So Edwin asked, so if you're self-employed, how is this maximized towards self-employed people? I'm not sure if I understand what you're asking. How do you maximize this for self-employed people? How do you maximize stimulus? So if you're self-employed, right? So when I applied and got PPP, I applied as a self-employed person, right? And so I'm sharing my experiences with you guys. I am not by any way your advisor or giving you any legal or financial advice, period. Okay? Just sharing my experience, right? So for example, like I applied as a sole proprietor. I didn't apply under my other businesses. But I applied for me, Tani Chambers, as a sole proprietor, right? Have I been affected by COVID? Absolutely. I really cannot conduct my business. I have not been able to conduct my business as Tani Chambers since the disaster hit, right? So how did I maximize this? So at the time when EIDL and PPP came out, there was so much confusion. We really didn't know what to do. And they really weren't talking to self-employed and sole proprietors much at all. So what did I do? I decided to apply for unemployment because they said that self-employed and sole proprietors would be approved. So I applied for unemployment. Now, a lot of people have utilized this strategy that I know, and I have some clients who utilize this strategy. They apply for unemployment, and then they apply for PPP, right? So, and once they got approved for PPP, they're back in business. They're able to pay themselves. So they applied for PPP. They paid themselves for 8 weeks. And when those 8 weeks were up and the forgiveness application came out, they applied for forgiveness. And if business did not pick up, they went back to unemployment. Okay. Some other strategies I know some people have done, right, is same thing. But instead of going back to unemployment, they've got approved for EIDL. So now they are utilizing payroll. They're utilizing the EIDL, the working capital loan, to pay themselves now. So now, why didn't they just go back to like unemployment or something like that? Well, if they pay themselves, they're paying themselves their max. Unemployment has limits, right? Depending on what state you are in. I'm in New York City. In New York City, the max weekly is $504. Now, you do get this extra $600 for the first 13 weeks, but after those 13 weeks, you will only get what the state approved you for and found you were eligible for. So the first 13 weeks, might be, could be equivalent to some people's salaries or close to some people's salaries or enough to help them out to get through while navigating the disaster. But then it's not worth it. So if you're someone who's usually, if you get the max in New York, and let's say you're making 11, it's making because you get taxed, right? It's income. You have income of now $1,100 a week from unemployment for the first 13 weeks. But in your business as self-employed, you were, when you do the math, you're probably making the equivalent of $2,000. Your monthly expenses, home expenses, personal expenses, whatever you need to do, it's barely making it based on that $1,100 a week. And that $1,100 is going to drop after the 13th week to just the max, which is $504 or something like that, about $500. You would say, well, you know what? I think I'm going to take the EIDL, and then that way I can pay myself for services rendered. We don't have enough time to go through everything, but also when you get approved for the EIDL loan and you start to read through the agreement, as the owner of a company, you can only get paid for services rendered. So you cannot pay yourself profits, dividends, things like that. So something to know. But you should be working on your business. Work on your business and then pay yourself for services rendered. And services rendered probably would be higher than, could be higher. Let me not say probably. Could be higher than what you would get from unemployment. So you can definitely maximize this as someone who is self-employed. I mean, it's unprecedented. Like never before have they ever really just considered self-employed people, period. So something to think about. If you have an LLC, a S Corp, a C Corp, or something like that, and you are on payroll, so you are paying yourself, then you have employees that you're paying, this is, you maximize that by, yes, get the PPP, get it forgiven. Let me just say one thing about the PPP that people should consider also and think about with the PPP. There are some other rumors that, and the banks are really backing this, they're advocating for this, is that blanket forgiveness. Anything under any loans under PPP under $150,000, that they would just automatically forgive them. And the reason why they're saying that they would automatically forgive him, because the amount of manpower and money that it's going to cost for them to process forgiveness applications outweighs forgiving everyone, So something to think about. It makes sense, right? So I don't know. Like, you got to think about that for yourself. Is it worth it? Maybe that you could get, whatever this is, whatever your payroll is times 2.5, months, get that basically for free, forgiven, just money to tide you over and help you out. Do self-employed people need documentation that you're paying yourself or no? Okay, so here's the documentation about paying yourself, right? This is a good question. Someone asked this question earlier in the group about paying yourself. How do you show you pay yourself? Well, first of all, to get approved, again, they're going to ask you for your Schedule C from 2019. And they're going to give you the loan for PPP based on that Schedule C on line 31, period. Okay? That's what they're going to do. So what they do is they look at line 31, and let's just say that line 31, I'll use an arbitrary number, is $12,000. So in 2019, you made $12,000, right? Your gross was something else. By the time you take out expenses, line 31 net profits was $12,000. They're going to divide that by 12. And what they're going to say is that your payroll, your monthly payroll, is $1,000. Then they're going to do the math and they're going to say $1,000 times 2.5, because this is, I don't know where they got this from, but this is how they do it, equals $2,500, right? So they're going to give you a PPP loan for $2,500. They're going to say once you deposit it, you have up to 24 weeks to spend 60% on payroll or 40% on the other eligible expenses. Okay, right? So then now, let's just say they come back and they are auditing you, right? And guys, this goes for the EIDL loan too, right? If you're self-employed, let's just say that they're auditing you. Hold on, I'm getting don't want my computer to die with you guys. But let's just say like they decide to like audit you, right? They're gonna say, we want to see where you paid yourself. As a self-employed or sole proprietor, here's what I suggest you do. You take that $2,500, you put that money in a separate account. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to open or you can't open a separate account. Fintechs, again, free. There's so many fintech online banks that are FDIC insured where you can open up, you send them some documentation proving that you are a business and who you are, or proving that you're a person, give them your social, but you operate as a sole proprietor, right? I would suggest you open up an account, you take that loan money exactly and you put it in there, right? And what you do, and you should be doing this anyway. If you're a sole proprietor or self-employed, you should have a separate business account. Co-mingling your monies, it can be problematic, especially if you get audited for the IRS. So take that money, that $2,500, put it in a separate account and put yourself on payroll, right? And when I say put yourself on payroll, I want you to do things like how much, if you're, according to it, you get paid $1,000 a month, then decide, are you going to transfer $250 a week every week for the next, for PPP for the next 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever, or for EIDL for however long, that stretches out, right? Yes, they give you the money based on net, not gross. For PPP, Edwin, for PPP, I'm going to talk to you about EIDL, how they calculate that. So you take your money, you put it there, and then you start putting yourself on payroll. Set up an automatic transfer every week for $250, or automatic transfer for $500, or automatic transfer for $1,000 at the beginning of the month, okay? They come to you and they say, well, we want to see how you spent this payroll. Where's your payroll? Boom, you pull it up. Here's the money that you gave me, and here's how the money was allocated. And you transfer the money to yourself, to your personal account. Okay? Transfer to your personal account. If you don't, let's just say you only have, I don't know why you would only have this, but it happens, right? Let's say you only have a personal, you only have a business account, you're self-employed, and you're just operating as yourself under your social, nothing else, no DBA name, no EIN number, anything like that. Well, then yes, you could still, but you need to show the trail. You need to show the pattern. You need to show that this, when you gave me that money, I put it here, and this is how I used it. Here's all the debits, and this is what we used it for. Simple. Just get yourself in order. That's it. Simple. And that makes things easy, right? So yes, Edwin, to answer your question, they give you for PPP based on your net as a self-employed person. So it's your gross minus all your expenses. Whatever is on line 31 on your Schedule C is the number that they're going to use as your money, what you make, okay? Your salary, your payroll, okay? So another question. Is the payment forgiveness guaranteed, or is there a deadline to ensure forgiveness? That's a great question. So I don't remember. Now, there's the payment forgiveness is guaranteed if you follow the rules. If you follow the guidelines and you spend the money as they told you, you can apply for a forgiveness. And what's really going to happen is the bank is going to look it over, SBA reviews it, and then they approve you or not. Once they approve you for forgiveness, if there's any percentage of that money that they loaned you left over, that's what you're going to have to pay back at the 1% over the next 2 years. Oh, that's another thing with the PPP Flexibility Act. The repayment terms have been extended from not just 2 years, but have been extended to 5 years. So now you can pay back that money at 1% based on 5 years, over 5 years. If you already have the loan and you can go back to your lender and negotiate 5 years. If you are now applying, then you automatically are going to get the 5-year repayment, 24 weeks, etc. All those things. So is payment forgiveness guaranteed? So if you follow through, then it's, pretty sure you will get forgiveness. Watching the hearing, one of the concerns that came up, watching the hearing, one of the concerns that came up from the senators on the committee to Secretary Mnuchin was people don't trust the government. People think that, and this is exactly what they said, people think that the government is going to switch up and do something and basically hoodwink everybody and be like, hey, guess what? Ha ha ha, joke's on you. We're not forgiving your loan, etc. And he assured us that that is not what they want to do. They want to forgive as many loans as possible. So then people were a little taken back. Another issue business owners were talking about is like, well, why do you have an 11-page forgiveness application? And to be quite honest, if you read the forgiveness application, it's not 11 pages. Why it's 11 pages, but the application itself is 1 page, I think, maybe 2. I don't even think it's that long. I have it somewhere, but with all the technical difficulties I had earlier, I can't get to it right now. But it's 11 pages because it's giving you, there's a worksheet. In the worksheet helps you figure out how much forgiveness you'll qualify for by asking you some questions. I think that's 2 or 3 pages, right? Then, there's just like a page giving you all the rules and everything and the directions, like all the directions and how to fill it out. And then there's the actual application. So once you do the worksheet, you read the information, you do the worksheet, you transfer the answers from the worksheet onto the application, you fill out the basic information on the application, and you submit it. It's really not that bad, but I think people see, oh my God, 11 pages, and they get really scared. But according to Mnuchin, Secretary M, I'm going to just call him Secretary M, right? According to Secretary M, they are trying to forgive as many loans as possible. They're here for the American people, y'all. Okay, so they are trying to forgive. Now, is there a deadline? I believe that the deadline, and don't quote me, I'm wrong, I'll figure it out in a minute. If I could get someone to help me pass me this paperwork, but the deadline, I believe, to apply was originally December 31st, 2020. So you had 8 weeks from you apply, applications close June 30th. You do the 8 weeks, and then just pass me this stuff over here. Yeah. And then it's right here. And then you and then that's it. So it was like December 31st or whatever. But here's the thing I want you guys to know. Here's another thing. They made all these arbitrary dates and stuff before they really knew what was going on. They thought it was going to be so easy, but then they realized how much people this really affected, and they wasn't ready. They were not ready, y'all. Like SBA wasn't ready. They weren't ready, period. So here's the thing you got to understand also about the PPP forgiveness, right? So you apply for your forgiveness, you submit it. The bank has, I believe they said 60 days to look it over, or the SBA has 60 days, and then someone else has 90 days. So it could technically be almost 6 months before you even before you even get a response on your forgiveness. Okay. Once they approve or deny or whatever, decide how much is going to be forgiven, how much you have to pay back. That's when your deferment starts, and then after your deferment period, then your repayments start. So it's really a lot of time. So I think that's another reason why the banks are like, listen, get rid of this forgiveness. Anybody who was approved for $150,000 or less, just give them a blanket forgiveness. Hey, I mean, it makes sense. I get it 100%. If you own a business, it's like, why are we going to pay people double the amount of money to push papers when we could just say, hey, you're forgiven? It just doesn't make sense. It's just bad economics, bad business. I hope that answered your question, Tiffany. If not, just, let me know. But I believe the date is December 30th, 2020 that you have to submit your application for forgiveness. Okay, how about if you haven't filed taxes since 2017? Okay, so Sauce and Ventures, Mel, let me know specifically, because you're saying if you haven't filed taxes since 2017. If you haven't filed taxes since 2017, we need to have a talk. That's first of all. We need to have a little talk, right? Because right now, if you haven't filed taxes since 2017, you are hurting in every way possible, and you are not able to take advantage of any of the stimulus packages. You can't take advantage of unemployment. You didn't get a stimulus check. You can't apply for EIDL or PPP. Like, you're in problems. Like, it's not going down. You need to have a talk with me, our team at Savvy Money. We'll be more than happy to help you get your bookkeeping together, file your taxes, all of that, all of that. Hit me up. Hit us up at hello@savvymoney.com. That's SAVIMONI.com. Somebody put in the comments for me, please. Thank you. All right. So, but that also opens a question, right? So for your stimulus check, you needed to have filed in 2018 or 2019. The reason why they went off the 2018 date was because the filing the filing deadline for IRS, the IRS filing deadline was extended to July 15th. So that's why they went off the 2018 taxes. Okay, that's first of all. So if you haven't filed until 2017, again, you're not getting anything, right? For the EIDL loan, the thing about the EIDL loan is that, I'm going to get back to that. For the PPP, you're going to have to submit paperwork that shows, that you're in business and what you've done in business basically in 2019. So if you don't have that information, if you don't have tax filings for 2019, then you can't apply for the PPP either. It's not going to get anywhere. Your paperwork will probably be rejected, right? Because they're going to be like, nope, That's one. Let me get to the EIDL. Now, the EIDL, when you apply for the EIDL, they're asking you to self-certify. Most of these things are asking you to self-certify, right? So you don't have any problems, right? They want you to self-certify. They talked about this in the hearing also. They're like, listen, we're basically telling people, this is why we're telling people to self-certify. Not because we want to come after them, but we just we have so much people to deal with. We just have to take your word for it. And so there's a safe harbor clause, so that basically like people under a certain amount are pretty safe. So what they're saying is that if you have a loan over like 150 or 200,000, $2 million, sorry, then it's don't want to die. It's easier for them to deal with them than dealing with the person who got a $10,000 loan or a 25, 50, $150,000. It's just not worth it to them. So they ask you to self-certify when you do the EIDL loan, right? The EIDL loan, they're asking you for your information. They have a streamline. Now, in the beginning, they had all this paperwork you had to fill out, and they were like, nope, streamline, have people self-certify. So they're going to ask you basic information about your business, and they're going to ask you for your numbers in your business, right? How much revenue you did in the 12 months preceding the disaster, your cost of goods sold, which is the stupidest thing they could have put down there. But basically, your expenses you want to put down there, right? Or your cost of goods sold, if you sell products and things like that. But, that's, that's can be interpreted different ways. So I'm just going to leave that alone. I personally just put my expenses, and it worked out. So they're going to ask you for that. And that's basically it. They're going to ask you how many employees you have. And that's it. It's really simple. These things, the information is basic information that you generally should have as a person in business. And if you don't, no judgment, stuff happens. We're working. We're busy trying to really just get our business done, get our business popping, getting it going, right? We're working on our business, right? Not in our business. So it's kind of like, oh, shoot, I forgot those things. And that's why we outsource those things to other people. It's okay. But then this is going to prompt you to go get it together and go get it together quick. Okay. So that's why you call me and my team will help you out. But yeah, so they're asking you basic information. You self-certify. Now, and originally you needed to present all this paperwork. They were going to ask you for all this additional paperwork. They don't for EIDL. They don't ask you anything. They basically look at the numbers you give them as a self-certification, and then they run your credit, right? So basically, this is almost credit-based, right? They run your credit to see where you're at credit-wise, and then from there, they make a decision. I have not been able to get the exact formula of how they decide how much of a loan they will get. There's been different things. People have said that they take your gross. Okay, someone asked a question about net. Ed, when you asked a question about net versus gross, when it comes to the EIDL, they're taking your gross into consideration. They're doing it because it's a working capital loan, right? So regardless of what you expend expenses on and what your profit is, in order for you to make that profit, you need to invest in these expenses, right? So they go based on, and that's your working capital. This is the capital that you're spending month over month, year over year to keep your business afloat in business. So that includes payroll, rent, all kind of other things, inventory, whatever you have to do, insurance, all those things, right? Working capital, right? In order for you to stay in business. So they look at the gross number. That I know for sure. They look at the gross number. I'm not sure because I've heard different things. I've heard that they look at the gross number and they divide it by minus your expenses, your cost of goods sold, and then they divide it by 2, and that's your max loan amount based on 6 months, right? That is not true. Hey, Kendra. That is not true, because if that's true, then they gave me way too much money. I'm just being honest. And I know about 3 other people I know 2 people who got way lower than that. And they're like, I don't know. So it's kind of one of those things we don't really know what the actual formula is. And if you call the SBA, whether you get a level 1 or you get a level 2 representative, they will dance around it. No one really gives you a straight answer, or you're going to get multiple answers. So my thing is apply and go for it. Now, does credit affect it? I believe so. Because I've been hearing, different people have had different experiences, which is so interesting and so frustrating about this whole thing, right? So I'm hearing that, so today I heard that someone was denied because they have bankruptcy. right? And they're in their last year of bankruptcy. So I think it's been almost 10 years and they were denied. I personally think that's outrageous. I told them to reapply. Yes, if you got denied for EIDL, you can go back to the SBA and tell them to reconsider your application, right? And make your case. Hit me up if you want to find out about that. We have people who have dealt with the SBA who know how to go in and reconsider. I don't know specifically if bankruptcy automatically is an automatic denial, because there's nowhere that says that. We've been researching information. We've been asking. No one's specifically said this, but someone that I spoke to today got applied, and actually they didn't get that answer. The answer that they got was something else. Then the letter that they got in the mail said bankruptcy. So who knows? I told them that they definitely should go back in for a reconsider and make their case. And also, if that's an issue, they should definitely go to their local representatives and tell them, like, look, I had some problems 10 years ago, but I've been in business and I've been paying taxes for 10 years, and my business right now is in trouble, and I deserve to get this loan. And that's what you definitely should do. For denials, I've also heard for credit, you need it to be, I've heard as low as people got approved at 570, but got denied at like 565. So you need to be somewhere between 570 and above. But I've also seen like some people got denied, which was probably not based on their credit. They were at like 620. So it's an interesting situation. To go back to your remarks earlier, you said that the loans that are under $150,000, there's a low chance they would even bother coming after you. So what is being said, let me be clear, because everybody who's on here that know me and have been on my lives and stuff before know what we won't be doing is Tani said. No, that's not what we're doing, right? But what I'm saying is that the banking organizations, there's two large banking organizations that are lobbying for loans, PPP loans for under $150,000 and below to be forgiven. They're looking to have a blanket forgiveness for loans $150,000 and under, right? Because they're saying that the amount of money that they would spend to actually process the forgiveness applications outweighs what they would spend by just forgiving it all. It's not worth it, right? It's too much on the banks, and it's not going to work for SBA. It's not good for SBA or the country. It's just dumb. So hopefully they'll do something like that. I don't know what the number would be, but yeah. What does your credit score have to be? Oh, I think I just answered that, Melissa, so tell me. So and also for the EIDL, I want to tell you that in the paperwork, it actually says that your paperwork has to be, by the way, guys, on Instagram, I'm about to, oh, you're welcome. You guys are about to get cut off. So if I were you, I would come over to my YouTube channel. It's YouTube.com/Tani Chambers. I make it very easy for you. And the link is actually in my bio. You can just go to my bio on Instagram right now. Okay, they're gone. But anyway, so here's the question. Here's the answer. So on the actual paperwork, it says that your score needs to be, I believe it was 620 or 640 above to be approved. But they are approving people for less than that. So supposedly your credit is not supposed to be the deciding factor, but they do use it to verify information, to make sure that you're credit worthy, look for liens and certain things that would disqualify you, but they don't specifically talk about bankruptcy, which is very interesting. So I think that people who have bankruptcies or certain things should definitely, especially if it was like 10 years ago, like I'm a whole new person. Like, what are you talking about? You should definitely ask for reconsideration. You can come and talk to us because you want to make sure you say the right things when you go and ask for reconsideration. So yeah. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question, Edwin. So they are lobbying for that. So, hey, the best thing we can do is go lobby to our local representatives, our representatives, all our representatives in Congress, I mean, from everywhere, you know, and say, hey, you guys need to get us 100% forgiveness, period. Okay. Now, so that they could give us blanket figures and we don't have to spend time filling out paperwork and doing all this stuff. Okay, next question. If you filed Schedule C as a draft with them, I'm assuming for your PPP, and it's different than the actual filing, will they require you to give you any money back? Like, will they recalculate? So I think what I've learned and what I've heard in the hearings and things, they're not in the business of saying like, hey, give money back or whatever, right? If they feel like you intentionally lied about something and they can prove that you actually were intentionally trying to defraud. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to save my video. I don't know. Anyway, trying to intentionally defraud the government, then they will penalize you, okay? But they're not really in the business of trying to figure it out. If you made a mistake, people make mistakes. You made an error, I think that they would just make you pay it back according to the 1%. You know, in my personal opinion, this is not, again, legal advice or financial advice. I'm just thinking, they didn't even have enough people to process these loans. Do they have enough time on their hands to be trying to go after the millions and millions of loans that they put out there and audit them? No. So I mean, you know, depending on how risky you are, shoot your shot. So look. So listen, if you file the Schedule C as a draft and it's different, I think that you could just explain that it was different. It was originally a draft. This is what you intended it for it to be, etc. I mean, if it's drastically different, they could say something, but I mean, I think they have to be looking for it, you know? I say try to stay on the up and up as much as possible. But I don't know. You know, if, you know, you created the draft with intentions that it would be, I mean, talk to your CPA or come to us and look at you with the CPA. But just talk to your CPA about, you know, hey, this is what I thought based on calculations that I have right now. I didn't have time to consult you. You were busy. What do you think? But I personally, like I said, I don't think that they have time to they're trying to get this economy back together, right? And I know we think they're all wicked and evil, but realistically, if we're thinking like if they're thinking selfishly and they don't have our best interest in hand, it is not in their best interest to be trying to come around and audit everybody, audit small loans or whatever. No, they're gonna audit big loans, right? A lot of the rules that came into place and the safe harbor and the what is it called, that time period that they gave everybody to give money back, you know, grace period that they gave people to give money back, that was for the larger companies that were taking money that they weren't supposed to get, you know, or that people just found out. They probably made these laws, they didn't care if their people got it, and when they got caught out there, they had to save face. I don't know. In the hearing, supposedly Planned Parenthood got $30 million, maybe more than that, but they got something with 30. I don't know what it was, but they got a lot of money and they weren't supposed to because they don't qualify because they have affiliates and all these other rules. And that's pretty much a big thing right now because they're looking at the SBA like, first of all, how did you allow them to get this money? What type of fail-safe and process are you guys working with? Second, did you get the money back? Get the money back, you know? So Planned Parenthood has offices all over the place and affiliates, and apparently they applied for money to keep people in business. And, you know, you can imagine that people who are conservatives and Republicans don't want to support Planned Parenthood, so they want that bread back. They're looking for that money. So, you know. Any other questions, guys? I had so much technical difficulties in the beginning, so unfortunately, maybe another time, maybe later on this week, I'll come back. I'll come back and be able to share my screen about some things. But if you have any other questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Before we wrap this up, thank you guys for being here and checking this out. I hope that you got a lot of your questions answered. But really, the point of me doing this live was to say, listen, there's still money left. Go get the money. Like, go get the money. Okay? Like, scared money don't make money. I just think, like, especially when we're talking about in our particular community. When I say our community, I mean Black people, okay? So nobody's confused, right? But with people in our community, like, we're so afraid. We're like, oh my God. And other people are just like, let me get this money. I'm going to figure it out later. And I get why we also have fears, right? You're welcome, Edwin. But my thing is, like, go apply and keep yourself in business, right? The only way they're really, going to really come down on you is if, like, we've seen all these drastic, stupid things that people have done, like getting the PPP and then they're out, buying cars and doing this and doing that. Now, first of all, I'm going to tell you something, right? SBA don't got time to figure out what you're doing with your money, and they can't watch your bank account. So clearly someone called and, like, called the anonymous hotline and said, I think this person is committing fraud. I think, honestly. So I just think that we need to do what we need to do to get our keep our businesses. And guys, this is our money. This is our money repackaged. So listen. Check out, now that you're here, please subscribe to my channel. I have a bunch of new videos coming out this week with information about the stimulus. And then I'm also going to be talking about other topics so that we don't have to deal with this ever again. Like how to make sure your business is ready. I'm going to talk about pivoting. Like right now, if you have to pivot in your business or you have to make a change, what you can do, whether it be temporarily or permanently. I'm also going to be talking about economic power for Black women. That's one of the things that's close to me. I have a major announcement coming this weekend about something that I can't tell you, but just, stay tuned to this channel. Follow me on my other social media channels. Everything is Tani Chambers, first name, last name, really simple. But, if you, listen, I'm talking about a lot of things. And the main thing I want to talk about is how to get money, keep money, invest it, multiply it, and, and do what's best. So, so guys, stay locked in here, subscribe, make sure you turn on your notifications so you know when I launch a new video. And please like this live. Please share it with other people that you think might find this information useful to them. I hope that I answered as much questions as I can. A lot of people were like, yes, I have a whole bunch of questions, and then they're not here. I don't know what happened. But anyway, but the point is, it's not too late to get this funding. It's not too late to get unemployment if you need unemployment. It's not too late to get the PPP loan. It's not too late to get the EIDL loan, okay? And then I'm also going to be talking about in some other content later on about the tax incentives. There are a lot of tax incentives. Like everyone is thinking about the cash right now, and I get it. But some of us are okay, right? Some of us are okay. Maybe we don't need the loans. We don't want debt. We don't even want to be bothered with the SBA. But that doesn't mean that at the end of 2020, there's not more to be done. There definitely is. There's a lot of tax incentives in the stimulus acts. And I call them the stimulus acts because there's so many acts that were passed and updated and amended and all that. There's so many tax credit, like the employee retention tax credit. Let's say you don't qualify for PPP for some reason or something like that, hey, at the end of the year when you file your taxes, did you know that you can qualify for the employee retention tax credit up to $5,000 per employee? I mean, some of you guys who have employees, that's amazing, up to $5,000. And guess what? It is refundable, guys. So that means if you have an excess, right? It's not like a deductible. It's refundable tax credit. If you have an excess, guess what? The IRS will write you a check for the overage. So these are things that you want to think about. The other thing is net operating losses. If you're new in your business, a lot of people who are only 1 year in business, just starting, one of the businesses I started in 2019, early February 2019, just a year ago, like 2020 was the year that we were going to make our big money and push. And disaster hit. So for that business over there, like right now, it's a business where it requires you it's an experiential business. So it requires us and our employees to be in person at events and things like that. And of course, outside is closed. So we have equipment, we have all kind of things. And of course, for the first year when we started and we were building up our clientele, we took a loss because we bought equipment, we bought all kind of things. It was a little capital intensive, not really, but just a little capital intensive. It wasn't just like my online businesses or my software company where, it's not really that capital intensive right now, right? But it was capital intensive. So net operating loss, but that's good. You know why? Because now with the CARES Act, we're able to carry back NOLs, net operating loss. So that means I can take the loss from like a 2018 or 19 or something like that, and I can carry it forward. I can carry it back 5 years. And that means that you're amending your taxes and you might be getting refunds or paying less taxes. I mean, there's a lot of other things that we have to look at. I know everyone is worried about cash flow right now, and rightfully so, and I get it, but it ain't over yet. It ain't over yet. And there's going to be tax credits and incentives for us also in 2020, for 2020. So, yeah, it ain't over. It ain't over until it's over, okay? So with that said, guys, I want to say, like, for us again as entrepreneurs, the best thing that we can do for our community right now is harness our economic power, okay? We have to stay in business. We have to flourish and thrive in businesses. We have to become investors in our community. That's why I'm so excited about my new my new initiative that's coming out for women. Hint, hint. But we have to invest in our community. We have to invest in businesses that serve our community, that are built by us. There's a lot going on right now. Everybody's like, hey, here's a fund. We want to give you money. As a Black female founder, I'm like, where has this money been all these years? We've been pitching. And I know some of my friends on here who are also Black female founders. We've been pitching. You've been telling us you don't get it. Now you're under pressure and you get it. That's okay. We'll take that check. Yes, we will take that check. But we're going to take that check and we're going to multiply it and we're going to invest. We're going to be those people who get it. We're going to be the investors who get it to other Black female founders and who are going to say, this is going to be a multi-million and billion-dollar business and we're going to give you the money to get it done. We're going to do that. We're going to start investing our money back into our community so we can just become self-sufficient. Whether it's in our lifetime, we hope it would be, whether it's our children's lifetime, the next generation, or the generation after that, we are going to plant these seeds now. So, step 1, take advantage of all of the stimulus, the government issued opportunities that are out there. Every one of them, if you can maximize and use all of them, then use all of them. But get it done. Remember, you have till June 30th to apply for PPP. And I don't think EIDL, I'm not sure about EIDL. There's a possibility they might get extended, but right now it doesn't look like it because in order for like some things to recently pass, the stipulation was everything had to end June 30th. But anyway, my point is get out there today, tonight, this week, and apply and get your piece of that money before that money is gone. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. If you have any more questions, feel free to post them in the comments. I will definitely go ahead and respond to them when I get a chance to. And follow me on all social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Best place to get me is on Instagram. And you can always email me or email us, the team, at hello@savvymoney.com. That's forget that. That's SAVIMONI.com. Thanks for being here, guys, and I will talk to you guys another time. Bye. Till the next time.